The new Guaranteed Basic Income program just announced, and a renewed push to reinstate the eviction moratorium that would help out over 10 million renters, and the meeting that went down today between Nancy Pelosi and Pramila Jayapal in reference to the stimulus package. What came out of that meeting? All right, so first off, I want to talk about this new Guaranteed Basic Income program that was just announced. What is super interesting about this? For a while, I mean literally probably 3 or months or so, we were seeing new guaranteed basic income programs literally showing up every single week. In fact, I was kind of laughing about it for a while. They're saying literally every week I'd come on like a Monday and be like, well, here's the first one that popped up this week. It's only a matter of time until we get another one that shows up this week. And sure enough, each and every week we were getting more and more of these guaranteed basic income programs, anywhere between probably 1 and 3 programs every week. Well, what's interesting about it, we haven't seen a new one of these programs, or at least I haven't seen any of them pop up in probably about a month now. So, surprising. I don't know what happened there, but all of a sudden they just kind of dried up. And then finally I came across this one today, and it's like, oh, hey, check it out. So, I wanted to bring this to you and let you know right away. This happens to be actually a very big program, in fact. The city of Chicago is introducing this new idea of a guaranteed basic income program that would issue $500 of no strings attached payments to 5,000 families. Or I should say 5,000 households. So you could be an individual, you could be a married couple, you could be a single person with kids. It looks like there are some pretty open parameters on this thing. But yes, this would be very far-reaching, 5,000 people. That's a lot. Typically, these programs reach anywhere between like 100 people, maybe 1,000 people. It's usually not that many that these programs reach, so 5,000 people would actually be a huge, huge program. $500 per month, no strings attached, for 12 months. Again, the classic guaranteed basic income program. That's typically how these things work. Usually it's about $500 up to $1,000 each and every month. I would have to say, in my honest opinion, the vast majority of these programs that I come across issue $500. I have seen a couple that issue $1,000, but those are kind of few and far between. The vast majority of them are $500 for a minimum of 12 months. Sometimes it's 24 months, maybe even up to a few years, 3 years, 5 years, something like that. So yeah, the classic guaranteed basic income program. Now again, that is in Chicago. This was introduced by the mayor of Chicago. And of course, it would still need to go through and get final approval by the legislation right there in Chicago. So again, if you are in Chicago, you might want to check that out, because if it does get approved, you might want to get your place in line to grab that $500 every single month. Cool stuff, right? Now again, there are multiple of these programs going on all over the country. When I see them pop up, I will be right here to tell you all of these that show up. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm glad that we finally got another one showing up, because it's been a while now, probably about a month, like I said. All right, I do have another one. I want to throw this out there. I'll just really briefly talk about this, but it's just interesting because we want to keep our eyes on everything going on out there. But South Africa just announced a universal basic income program because there is a lot of civil unrest right now in South Africa. So the reason that they're implementing is to hopefully kind of calm some things down over there. And I just saw this one as well. So again, I know this is not in the United States, but it's very interesting, as we need to keep an eye on what's going on all around the country. Well, sorry, all around the world, I should say, because it's very interesting, and we need to kind of keep an eye on this, because typically whatever happens around the world eventually makes its way here to the United States as well. So South Africa, just the next country to put on the list of places that is issuing a universal basic income. So yeah, anyway, don't want to talk about that too much because I know that's not here, and I'm guessing there's probably nobody in South Africa that's watching me. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 people. If so, hey, shout out to you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. But anyway, so let's get into it and talk about this new push to reinstate the eviction moratorium. Now, remember that whole mess? Yeah, we had the eviction moratorium in place for about 1.5 years. It was helping out a lot. Well, actually, it was about a year or so. It was in place helping out a lot of renters, and then all of a sudden, just the rug got pulled out underneath it, and the Supreme Court basically said, yep, not happening. It is not within the parameters of what can be done anymore when we cannot extend this thing, so they just put the end to the eviction moratorium. However, we have a group of progressive representatives in the House who are coming together with a new act, calling it the Keeping Renters Safe Act. Now, they're coming together and introducing this, and what it is to reinstate the eviction moratorium. So basically, they're just coming out, introducing this thing and saying, hey, we need to reinstate this because there are a lot of renters out there. In fact, over 10 million renters who are potentially facing eviction. A lot of people have been evicted lately. In fact, I've come across some stories where people are just straight up evicted, thrown out of their house, and then they're like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine? I mean, I don't even want to imagine that. I'm just saying, just that's a sad situation, being thrown out and being like, honestly, I have no idea what to do anymore. Like, where do I go? What do I do? You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, we've seen some really sad stories about that. But this group of representatives, these progressives, are coming together and reintroducing this Keeping Renters Safe Act to once again to reinstate the eviction moratorium. So, hopefully, they get some movement on that because realistically, we're getting into the colder season of the year. Now, I get it; it's still pretty hot in the southern states, but in the north, northern states, it's kind of getting cold already. Seriously. Yeah. Weird, right? Like late-ish September, and we're talking about cold weather. So it is a real thing, and it is coming fast again. So anyway, hopefully we can get some action on that because there are millions of people out there who need to stay in their homes, right? Yeah, sad situation. All right, let's talk about Nancy and Pramila Jayapal. Nancy Pelosi, of course. So yeah, when we refer to Nancy, we're always talking about Nancy Pelosi. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi had a meeting today with Pramila Jayapal. Now, Pramila Jayapal is the leader of the progressives in the House of Representatives. So those two actually met today, which is actually interesting because you don't really hear those two meeting all that often, pretty much if ever. So they met today in reference to this latest reconciliation bill. Now, that is the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill that we've been talking about for a couple months now. So they met because Pramila Jayapal has openly come out multiple times and said, hey, Nancy, if we don't get our reconciliation bill side by side with the infrastructure bill on Monday, when they're supposed to hold the formal vote for the infrastructure bill, we're going to tank the thing. So she has openly come out multiple times saying that. So today that they were meeting to discuss this infrastructure package and the reconciliation bill and figure out a strategy of how they can come together on this and actually move them together in tandem so that progressives don't need to ultimately vote against the infrastructure bill and ultimately tank it like they've been saying they're going to do, and they continue to say it, so we'd have to anticipate they probably will if it comes down to that. So we've talked about this a couple times here recently, but they have plans to vote on that infrastructure package on Monday, the 27th, as promised by Nancy Pelosi to that group of 9 moderate Democrats. Now, will they actually bring the final vote on that day? We'll have to see. But there is some speculation out there that if Nancy actually does delay the vote on the infrastructure package, that she could lose the trust of those 9 moderate Democrats who once again have said, we're not going forward with this budget resolution unless we get the infrastructure. So, yeah, it's kind of like this back and forth, kind of tugging back and forth between the moderates and the progressives. Yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation. I would not want to be Nancy Pelosi right now because she is stuck in the middle as the Speaker of the House, the leader of the Senate on the Democratic side. So, yeah, interesting situation, right? But either way, I'm going to continue watching all of this very closely. This is just what has come down since the last video that I produced just a few hours ago. I wanted to bring it back to you, let you know there's actually some good stuff here. Like I said, that guaranteed basic income program in Chicago, looking pretty good. If you're in that area, I would say watch that very closely because if you qualify, I would say jump on that immediately. See if you can grab yourself that $500 of no strings attached cash payments every single month. And of course, the new Eviction Moratorium Keeping Renters Safe Act could be coming down as well. That could be a really good one as well. So let me keep watching all this for you. I'll continue doing the research as we get more information. Of course, I will come back and let you know right away. But I hope this helps you out. Of course, my commitment to you, do all the research, bring it to you in these short videos to help you out in any way I can. Thanks again for your video.